But it has to start with like a genuine love for the community and trying to do fun stuff for them. People suss out really fast if you're doing something just to make money and stuff like that. Like if you make a Discord that's just about trying to sell people shit, no one's going to get interested.
Hey guys, welcome back. We promised a four-way. We had a three-way before. We promised a four-way. First four-way right now. We'll see how this one goes. Three-way was already interesting enough. I think four is going to be super awesome. I'm very excited about this one. We got our boy Trav over here. Trav is one of our strategists. Ray, as always, and the man himself, Eric, better known as Yammie Noob. We're going to jam on a lot of things today. I'm not going to steal a thunder or kind of reveal anything too early, but boys, how we doing?
Fantastic, man. Absolutely. I'm excited to be on here, excited to talk with Eric and jam out on some stuff.
Yeah, totally. Same here. Like, I grew up in a household where being on a motorbike was evil, right? So like, I don't know what it is, like typical traditional Singapore Chinese. So the saying goes, when you're in a car, metal wraps meat. When you're on a bike, meat wraps metal. So they're always like, don't be silly, never ride a bike. And I'm like, come on, but it looks so fun. Like it's a real thing. So I'm living with envy.
D, have you ridden a bike before or no?
I've ridden on the back of a bike. I've never like drove a bike.
Okay. Was it a guy driving or a girl driving? So
that was my next question.
Yeah.
It was
and were
not
you holding hips or holding waist?
I was holding shoulders. I was like, okay. I want to touch you as little as possible, bro. Because being back here is already like shitty enough. Yeah, I'm like, as long. And it was one of those bikes without like the back. It wasn't like a Harley or anything. So I'm just like, how do I not fly off of this thing? And I was like 16 years old.
You have to just accept that you're going nuts to butts at that point. And right. It just is what it is.
Yeah, totally. I'm just like, I'm resigned to this. It's but I've never ridden one. So I'm living vicariously for sure.
Yeah.
I used to have two of them. And Eric, I remember telling you about it. I crashed both of them, totaled both of those bikes.
Really?
The very first one I was on, I was riding it, just inexperienced, so excited to be on one. It wasn't even my bike, it was my friend's bike in a neighborhood. It wasn't doing anything crazy.
You're one of those
just
friends.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't know how to lean into a turn just to be safe. Like I was going like 30 miles an hour. I just like freaked out and did it. I popped it back up. I'm sure Eric knows all about that. And I like hit a mailbox. It was terrible. Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty common experience. Yeah.
Go ahead, Eric, Travis.
Go ahead, Ray.
I'll say, so I actually have a motorcycle. And it's funny because Eric, you actually posted a video 5 months ago of the bike I have. I have a Suzuki SV 650S.
Beautiful choice.
Had it for 8 years. I love that bike. So I'm a huge fan. I love naked Street Fighters. It's a bike term. Okay, it's not a real. That's why I was telling my wife's family I have a naked Street Fighter. And they're like, what? Like, is Hannah okay with that? I'm like, okay, it's not what you think it is, right? It's like it's a type of bike. So my question for you is, I love that bike. I love everything about it. It's just so much fun. What would be the next step up, keeping to the naked Street Fighter version?
Here's the thing, my man, you've had this for 8 years. You know, usually people come to me, they're like, oh, I've had this bike for a year. Like I want to upgrade. So I'm like, oh, okay, like maybe you jump into like a Yamaha MT-09, or if you want to stick in the Suzuki family, you could maybe go like, if you want to go full sport bike, Gixxer 1000, that type of thing. But if you want to do a naked bike and you've been riding for 8 years, if you're doing well for yourself, I mean, I always recommend the Street Fighter V4S. That bike is primo.
Okay.
I had the chance we did a giveaway on one in 2022, took it out on track, performed beautifully. It's lightning fast. It makes a wicked sound, and it's a Ducati. What's not to like? So that would be my recommendation.
Oh, Ducati, you're singing my tune, man. All right, I'll go convince the wife.
Yeah. Easier said than done.
Yeah, no worries. I think that's
nice.
A great transition. If people aren't in the motorcycle scene, they don't know. Let's just be honest. You're a big deal in that scene, and having watched you over the years, because I know about your YouTube channel, I've been following it, and having known about you, what I want to do is I want to hand over to you. How did you get into the YouTube scene? Because you've been doing it for 6-7 years, a long time. How did you get into it?
It was actually very serendipitous. So I'll take it all the way back to, let's say, maybe 2010, I want to say. And I was an 18-year-old kid, and I liked what I was seeing on YouTube. YouTube was really like this, I don't know, it was such a new platform at the time. I think it launched in like '06 or '07, and I had been watching stuff on YouTube since it basically began. And I kind of always had this idea of like, oh, I'd love to make something on YouTube. So I'd always tried to make little videos here and there. I saw a lot of creators on there. There was one in particular I really liked. There was Australian guys called Mighty Car Mods. And they were these two Australian guys just wrenching on cars in their driveways. And I always thought that was really cool. And so I always had this like little dream in the back of my head of YouTube stuff. Flash forward to maybe 2015, and I got my first motorcycle. And much like you, D, my family was not thrilled at all about me getting a bike. They were not excited about it. And so I posted up a video using a GoPro to show my dad that I was wearing all of my gear because he was actually living in Brazil at the time. So really far away from me. And I was like, hey, like, I know you're upset that I bought a motorcycle, but I want to show you I'm doing it the right way. I bought a reasonable motorcycle. I got all my gear and all that. So I just posted up this video just to show him. It was a Yamaha that I bought, and I was a new rider. So Yammie Noob was the kind of culmination of those two things, right? And so it was kind of a throwaway account. I didn't even think anything of it. I literally made the account in like 3 minutes because like, it was one of those things where like you're on Google, you're like, oh, I need to make an account to like post up the video. So I was like, I don't care, whatever. I just made like the tag, and I sent him the video. And like, little did I know, but the bike that I bought, a lot of people were interested in, and so it kind of had like a natural SEO to it. Yeah, and then like 6 months later, I had like 2,000 subscribers, which to me, I was like, wow, this is a big deal. You know, like this is, guys, like I'm on the up and up, you know, look at this. And yeah, it really grew slowly over time from there. But that's really where the origin started. I kind of wanted to do YouTube, but I didn't like make the channel to try to make YouTube videos. And I think if I'd been like really precious about it and tried to grow it, it maybe wouldn't have grown. But because I didn't really care, like I think that laissez-faire attitude towards it made it kind of go from there. So that's the origin story. It's a little quite humble, but it was fun.
That makes so much sense.
Are your family now cool with it?
No. No, most of the family does not like the fact that I ride, but I've had, much like Travis, some experience in crashing a lot of bikes, and I had a very close call with one crash that I had. And so, yeah, they don't like it, but they've just come to accept it.
And for the record, for all y'all watching, I used to work in the fire service in Singapore. In Singapore, you have to serve. So I got drafted into the fire service. Singapore is, by the way, top 5 fire safety countries in the world. So most of the calls that we attended were road calls, right? Overwhelmingly, it's cars over bikes. Overwhelmingly. So I try to use that on mom and dad. It didn't work, but still, for anyone watching, if you need to try to convince your parents that, hey, you know what, trying to learn how to ride a bike might be a thing. Overwhelmingly, it's always cars, and it's always like after like a Tokyo Drift or like a Fast and Furious when our like cases go up, right? But motorbikes, rarely, almost rarely, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a real thing.
Yeah, not to nerd out, but like I think that's also due to the fact that like I'm assuming in Singapore there's like advanced rider training and like a tiered licensing system. Here in the States, I'm sure Travis knows because he was a Gixxer squid. If I can get on Travis for a little bit, like you get your license, you can go get a Hayabusa, man. Like there's no tiered system here. You can buy whatever you want, so it's pretty crazy. Like it shouldn't be like that, but it is.
America, baby, YOLO.
Which even like 6 or 600s, like even like for like a new rider, I was
fast.
Like,
yo.
I mean, I felt like the coolest kid on the block. I will say that for sure. But when I was riding, I'm like, you know, your toes curl up a little bit. So when you start pulling the throttle and you haven't, you know, rode a bike for more than 2 months, you know,
they're rocket ships. They're super fast.
Yeah.
One of the best advices I got, because I always had dirt bikes growing up, but I never had a street bike. Is a buddy of mine said, all right, go pay $200, do a motorcycle safety course. It's a weekend. They teach you how to ride. You have to go through courses. If you still want a bike after that, go buy one. It was the best $200 I ever spent because they taught you like how to think, how to like use the bike and how to be safe. And so that'd be my advice. I tell my friends now is like, go do that. And then if you want a bike after that, you're good.
Yeah, that's a great piece of advice. Yep.
So talk us through it. How did a YouTube channel turn into a business?
Man, that's a winding road. Do you want to hear how the YouTube channel itself became a business, or like more the e-commerce side of things? Because I know that's how we work together, and that's kind of like how
take us through it.
Became a business. So
yeah, take us through it, man. Like, because I mean, it's rare that you go from hey dad, I promise I'm safe. This is one video, pop, right? Now you got subscribers, pop. Now you got a business that's like doing pretty okay.
Yeah, it's not bad. All right, so I'll walk you through the whole story, I guess. So yeah, I had that first bike and it was pretty popular. And so like I started posting up videos and they were getting more traction and getting more views. Somewhere along the way, I realized that, you spend enough time on YouTube, you realize people are making money on YouTube, and you're like, okay, how are they making money on YouTube? How does this work? And you do a lot of research and you find, there's native advertising on YouTube, right? Like there's the pre-rolls and stuff. You get introduced to the YouTube partner program. That's where most creators start making a little bit of money. They're like, oh, like if I get this amount of views, I can get this amount of watch time and I can get these, some dollars coming in. So I still actually remember, because with Google, you have to reach $100 in your account for them to even pay you out. Like if you don't even have $100 in there, they won't even cut the money. And I remember when they first paid me out and I was like, wow, this just paid for like my insurance on my bike for a month or whatever. I was so stoked, which is so funny now. But I remember being so excited at that first $100 that Google paid me. So yeah, slowly but surely I was like, okay, if I make really good videos, YouTube can start paying me. And I was like, maybe I can try to land some sponsors. I was like, that's a way that people start making some money. There's affiliate links. I was like, okay, like if I direct people to go buy stuff, I'll get a small percentage of that. But I ran it as a side hustle for like 3 years. I could have taken it full time at certain points, but I had a pretty decent career. I had my bachelor's of science in economics, and I worked for a couple different startups in the marketing departments, and I got my real estate license. Like I was doing a lot of different stuff, but I always kept growing the channel on the side because it was nice money. It basically made the same amount as like my jobs at the time. So I was kind of like a dual income household, but just like a single guy, which was a lot of fun at the time. And so something happened in late 2018. That's when things started to get really serious. I don't really, it's funny, I look back and I'm like, I don't really know what exactly changed for me, but it's like a bunch of things just like locked in. So late in that year, I had landed 2 really big sponsors. I landed Manscaped, which was so sick. They were doing a bunch of stuff, and now they're huge. But back in 2018, they were still kind of scrappy. And to be honest, I wish I got paid in stock with that company because that would have been sick. But I just got paid with normal cash. This was a really fun story. So I was at my job, and I had scheduled a kind of introductory call with Manscaped at the time. And I got on the phone. I still remember, it was a 4-minute phone call. And I picked up the phone. He's like, hey, what's up? I'm blah, 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 VP of marketing at Manscaped. I was like, hey, what's up? I'm Eric. I run Yammie Noob. And he's like, all right, so what do you want to do? And I was like, how about we do 3 videos a month? I'll give you pre-rolls and blah, 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 and this and this. He was like, okay, what do you want for it? And I was like, $6,000 a month. And he was like, sold. I was like, cool. And he's like, all right, we'll send the paperwork. And I was like, great. And I just hung up the phone. And I was like, I just made $6,000. I was like, this is amazing. And so that was just really exciting. And it made me realize that I was not even close to realizing my full potential with this YouTube thing. And then I launched the Patreon, which is our bike giveaway thing. This was a really experimental idea, which is crazy because this is like our main thing that we do now. But I bought this like really shitty old used bike. It was a 2006 Honda Hornet. And my idea was, I was like, all right, I'm going to fix this thing up. I'm going to like showcase the whole process. And then somebody's going to get the bike for free. And it worked reasonably well. But then on the next one that I did with it, I bought a brand new bike because nobody wants to win an old crappy bike that some doofus fixed up, right? And that bike did exceptionally well. And that's really the thing that started snowballing everything, because then I was able to get bikes to give away, and that was really exciting because there were new models and people wanted to see that content. And then, it was just like one after another, and it kept growing and growing and growing. That led to us moving away from Patreon and building our own membership website, where we were able to bring people in, kind of cutting out the middleman there. That was one of the best decisions we made. And then in 2021 is when we realized that we could marry all of that together and sell people real gear and like real equipment, not just t-shirts and hats and stuff, because we still did that. And all throughout that process, I was like hiring people, and I got like an office and stuff. I quit my job. That's kind of how that led. But it was very slow. Like I was very methodical about how I did stuff. I didn't like taking huge risks because I didn't have like anything to fall back on really. So yeah, then in 2021, we identified that opportunity to start drop shipping stuff through actual like motorcycle gear distributors. There's a company called Tucker that sells like helmets, jackets, tires, like real stuff that people actually need for their ride, not just t-shirts, which was really important to me. But we were able to marry all that together with our memberships and the giveaway bikes and the e-commerce side of things, because I'm sure if anyone who's into YouTube is watching this, like YouTube is crazy unpredictable, right? Like, you can have months where you make X amount, you can have months where you make 0.25 amount of what you just made, right? Like a quarter of what you made. Like it's super up and down. So for me, the biggest goal that I wanted to do was to build something that was a little more sustainable outside of YouTube. And we were able to do that. We built an e-commerce site that, we did 7 figures in revenue in 2022 without spending any on marketing. It was super exciting. But then I realized that, there's no way to keep growing that unless you start spending on marketing and trying to reach new people. So yeah, this past year, it's just been so much of like making everything better, trying to reach more people, trying to increase our offers. And yeah, like it's weird recounting this whole story to you and being like, wow, this has been quite the journey, starting from that to this has been really cool. But yeah, that's kind of the whole picture. I know I just talked a bunch, so any questions, fire away.
Eric, how many giveaways are you doing right now?
So right now we have 4 going on at any given time. We've started doing these like shorter term pop-up giveaways that have been really popular. So I think for November there's like 6 different bikes going. It's crazy.
Oh, no way. All for that same month.
Yeah, all in the same month.
Wow. That's a lot.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy too. Like we saw like these short giveaways are super interesting to see like how the customer base like reacted to them, because like it was such a high excitement, because when you see the giveaway, it's already exciting. And then that you literally only have 48 hours or 72 hours to actually get entered into it. Like,
so it's like a flash giveaway. Spike. Is that what you mean by pop-up?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah,
it's like a different type of tier of bike. Like for a flash pop-up, is it like, do you like different tiers for like big giveaways versus smaller giveaways? Or
yeah, we tried several. I mean, the first one we tried was a Ninja 400, just a little like $5,000 beginner bike. But then in August, we went balls out into it. We did a Ducati V4R. It was a $40,000 motorcycle in 7 days. But to Travis's point, though, I mean, we were seeing 7% conversion on one of those days, like just That's nutty crazy. Numbers. Numbers.
Yeah. Wow. Right, so I have to ask, what goes into a giveaway? So I guess on your side, Eric, and then on the strategy on your side, Travis.
Yeah. So for us, we try to identify what's going to be the most popular motorcycle, right? Like what's something that's going to hit really hard. And we're still learning, right? Like that's been the crazy part, where we have obviously seen that really expensive bikes do pretty well, but like that first Ninja 400 did super well because a lot of our audience are aspiring riders. They don't even ride motorcycles yet. And so we try to show them that vision and that dream of like, hey, like this is a great first bike. And a lot of them are like, man, like I'll pick up a t-shirt to maybe get my first motorcycle. That's so cool. So that's kind of our process to select the bike. And then, yeah, there's a lot of stuff that happens in the back end to actually get it to the website point. Like you gotta bring in the bike, you gotta take photos of it, videos of it, make content with it. You have to set up the sweepstakes from a legal perspective. You have to register it in different states. And then like there's obviously the part after where you select a winner and do all that stuff. We try to bring them out and fly them out here to show them the bike and all that. That's cool. So that's from the on the grounds operations side. But I guess I want to hear actually from Travis. What do you guys do? I'm curious.
Yeah, absolutely. So really when it comes down to the strategy, like we actually recently started doing some more of like the winner announcements too, like kind of priming them. And sorry if you hear the dog in the background. So if I go like this,
never apologize for a dog. Never apologize for a dog.
Yeah. So we actually started running those, and we started, the whole idea behind that was like, especially if people don't know who Yammie Noob is, which I mean, obviously you have a large following on YouTube, but now we're going after people that may have never even heard of him before. So we wanted to like help build that trust with these people, right? Like you see a lot of scams out there. So we want to make sure they feel very confident, and we can show them that there's actual winners, and we identify how many bikes we've given away. So just really building that trust. And then when it came down to like the actual running of the giveaways, there's a lot of different structures, obviously, right, within an account that you can run it. But what we started noticing is like first we would run it like just by itself in like against other ads. We found it kind of hard to actually start scaling that because we would see, like Eric said, we'd see these really big spikes in days. I'm like, oh my God, like I want to scale that one, not, have it distribute the ad spend too thin. So what we started doing is just putting specific campaigns just to those giveaways. And in terms of like even the creative, like we try to keep it simple, and Eric knows like with this type of like business model on ads, like you kind of got to be careful because you're using the words giveaways, and sometimes Eric's done one with where cash came with it, and we knew it was possible because we see car brands doing this, right? You even see Ford is like participating in some of this type of stuff. I think like Ridge wallets and whatnot. So we had to be careful. We really weren't sure like what kind of words can we say. We started noticing like disapprovals would happen, and 98% of the time it was false disapproval. So we would send it right over to Meta rep, and they would get it reapproved right away. So what we really try to do is keep it minimal and kind of get straight to the point. We knew like the bike sells itself too, right? If somebody can see that and they can recognize it, and if we can just identify that, they could be earning points from this, and they can even get entered into the giveaway without even purchasing anything. Just do a couple like the page, follow the page, etc. We really try just to move forward with that, and we started really noticing too, like super simple statics. Or Eric, you see, he has such a strong following too, even on Facebook and Instagram, because the comments he gets on there, it's like nothing I've ever seen. Like you're talking thousands of comments. I love Yammie. And those are brand advocates. And I think that really does. I think that speaks to the importance of having your presence like outside of just the ads. Like the ads isn't going to be the one thing that takes the business from point A to point B. It's definitely going to be a part of the vehicle. But him having that presence too, we see it inside the comments. And if people have never seen Yammie, it's an instant trust builder, right? So we try to keep it in terms of the amount of ads we're running at a time. We don't do like 30 different ads. We try to keep our core like 3 to 5 ads, the formats we know that work really well, because we know that those start building a lot of engagement on there. And especially if we're doing these 3 to 7 day giveaways, we want as much engagement on there as possible because it is such a short giveaway. We want to have that trust built into there, especially the new customers.
It's probably a big moat, huh, Eric? Like the fact that you've been doing this for so many years and people know who you are, that it's going to be hard for someone else to come in the space and really compete with you. Like you have trust, loyalty, community, fans. Have you ever heard like other people trying to do the same thing and just didn't work out because they have that years to build a brand?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of stories about people that, it's like they start an e-commerce company and then like they transition to the content side of things, and then like they realize like what a slow and hard road it is to build up a following online. I mean, you guys are trying to do it with the podcast right now. Like it is very hard to build up, especially in 2023. Like I feel very fortunate that I got started in like the mid 2010s when it was kind of easier. There wasn't as much competition, but now with TikTok and YouTube, like everybody's trying to do content, right? But yeah, to your point, having that advantage and having the audience already there, it helps a lot, and it just makes it more valid for everybody and builds a lot of trust. But I have seen some people try their hand at it, but I think there's big gaps in their understanding of how to run it effectively. And then also like, motorcycling is funny because a lot of people that are in this lifestyle, a $40,000 bike to most people is a completely unattainable thing, right? So to even have the amount of capital to invest in something like that for a giveaway to just even start it is difficult. So yeah, it can be a hard thing for people to compete with that. I don't want to give away too many of the secrets, but you don't need to buy a $40,000 bike, right? Like you could do it in a smaller way. And we're actually testing later this month a giveaway where we don't even use YouTube at all. Like we want to see what happens when it's just Facebook traffic. Which my e-commerce COO, he's kind of like, why wouldn't we want to pull all the levers? I'm like, but I just want to see what happens. Like if we just focus on the Facebook traffic and don't leverage YouTube, like do we see different conversions? Do we see different people? Like, so I think it's possible to build a giveaway brand without having the huge content side of it, but it definitely helps a lot if you have, all this organic traffic coming and going.
Yo, well, yeah. I gotta jump in here, Ray. Like, there's a bunch of really there's a bunch of really cool stuff that you guys are bringing up that I really don't want. I don't want the viewers to kind of miss out on, because it's kind of under the radar, right? First of all, the fact that I'm hearing a brand founder say that I'm willing to actually run an experiment where my leading horse is going to be peeled back so that I can see whether the other one is going to work or not, and to what extent. That's like that's really something. That's conviction right there. Like blowing my mind right now. And I think it's super cool, mainly because of the fact that most conversations with brand founders, whether they're managed client partners or whether we're meeting at conferences and nerding out and whatever, most conversations regress to some type of like some kind of attribution rabbit hole kind of toilet swirl, right? It's like, oh, but if I start installing this and then let's use the North Beam and whatever and start triangulating, and like Ray and I have nerded about this over where I got salty over another podcast, but they'll never go to the point of being like, if you really, really want to know, switch it off. If you like, you know what I'm saying? But the fact that you're saying you're doing that without like much bravado at all, just being like, yeah, I'm just going to switch it off and then see what happens. Like, that's super cool. And then I think Travis on the other side too, like the fact that you're going into the account and not trying to over finesse, like I think a lot of strategists and a lot of media buyers, a lot of marketers, when they step into a new role or take on a new brand, they feel like they have to like put their mark on it and almost disregard what's working to go like, no, I got to impose like my thing so that I can look impressive. But to then go, stuff's already working, I just need to push it along without the ego play coming in. I think that's super critical too. I know it's not technical. The two things here are mainly like frame of mind, mindset stuff, but there's nothing tactical about that, but it informs all the tactics. It's just blowing my mind right now. This is like super cool shit. Like,
that's what I was gonna say. Is like,
well, I often tell my wife, because she's often like that too. She's like, "Oh, you're taking all these big risks." I'm like, "I'm a motorcyclist. That's what I do."
Fair.
Like that's a life lesson from motorcycling. Is like, if you want to go for a pass in racing, or you have to take risk, like, and it has to be calculated and measured. But risk is super important. Like, you will not gain anything unless you try stuff. And I'm okay with losing money and trying stuff and learning. That's fine. Like the Ducati V4R was a $40,000 experiment. I'm thankful it worked, but even if we broke even, I'd be like, cool, like we learned something. That's fine. Like, that's cool. Whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you
That's
even came like out of that.
Good.
From the comments, you were saying too, like some of the customer base too, like, oh, it might be a little too aggressive for us, right? And like that's a massive learning, I think, too, of thinking in the future of like, okay, doesn't mean you can't do a bike like that, but we know that at least there's a good chunk of people that maybe they're a little afraid to get participated into that just because like I don't know what I would do with it,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Wow.
Eric, what are some other experiments you've tried over the years that didn't pan out? Because one thing I love because I hear a lot of your stories through Travis. It's like, Eric's going to do this kind of launch. He's going to do this experiment. And I'm like, oh, dude, like Eric sounds amazing because he's so curious all the time. So like, what are things that you tried over the years as experiments that didn't pan out? Because I think this story is going to help a lot of founders. Like, dude, it's okay to try new stuff and it fail. You're going to be okay.
Yeah. I think a lot of my failures have come from honestly like the operations and management side of things. Like, I feel like my forte is the marketing and the growth and all that stuff. I feel like I excel really well, but like, man, there was a period last year into 2023, like December of 22 into January 23, February 23. I was not paying attention to our financials. Like, I had hired like 3 extra people and our sales like massively dipped. Like, the curves went the total wrong directions. Like, at the same time, like I was not making nearly as much money and my cost went through the roof. I think I lost like 60 G's in 1 month. And I was like, whoa, hold on a sec. Like, what's happening? And so I realized a huge blind spot that I have is not understanding the management and the operation. It's like the nuts and bolts of stuff, right? I brought in a sort of a, how'd you call it, like a part-time CFO earlier that year to help me try to understand that stuff, because I was like having difficulty in understanding how to manage my company. But now it's like I have like my financials I check every month and like I look at everything. And so that was one of my big failures, is like not not only looking at the top number, like, oh, cool, like the top number gets bigger. This is awesome. Like there's all the shit in the middle and then the one at the bottom too. Like that's obviously really important. But I'm trying to think of like maybe a marketing or like some sort of big growth initiative that we tried that didn't work. I don't know, man. I guess I just win on that front. I don't know. I can't really remember anything specifically that we tried marketing that failed.
Dude, but here's the thing, right? Like because you're defining failure differently, I think that's probably why you're struggling too. Like so I don't know. Again, a lot of business people I know, for them, a failure equals not like netting a profit. But if you're going in there going, hey, if we break even and we learn stuff for the next time, that's a win. Like then your mindset completely shifts compared to like every single launch must be a Hail Mary. It must make money. It cannot break. Like, it's such a different frame of mind. And, and I don't know, I can't, I don't know if you guys can tell. I'm like buzzing like crazy because that is such a healthy way. One, it's a really healthy way to live life. You lose a lot less sleep because you're going in eyes wide open. You kind of know what you hope to get out of it. Like if I heard a founder say, hey, listen, we broke even on this, but there were a whole bunch of comments like giving us feedback. The most likely thing I would expect the founder to say is that sucks, guys. What the hell is going on? Right. But to hear you go, hey, wait, there's stuff in here that informs next time. Like that is super awesome. Like hands down, just super awesome. So yeah, I can probably see why you're struggling to figure out what the failure is, because it's almost like you're setting up the game, you're rigging the game to have a no fail kind of scenario. Sure, like from a money standpoint, there may be ones that aren't performing as well as the others, but from a next go standpoint, like yeah, super awesome.
Yeah. I mean, that was kind of one thing that Travis actually showed me was, when we started working together, I mean, it was scary to drop even $5,000 a month on Facebook ads. I was like, whoa, wow. Okay. I guess we're doing that, and now we're going into November talking about close to 100,000 in spend. And I'm like, well, as long as we're hitting, ROAS and MER, we're good. And I don't even care. So it's like you said, it's a really big shift in mentality for it. And it gets me really excited because, you grow the whole thing and it's a different way of approaching it. Right. And so I just have you guys to thank for that. Like, I mean, it's been really cool having you guys like not only help with like the strategy and the implementation, but like really the mindset of how we're going to approach the marketing of it. So I really do appreciate that. It's been really cool.
After every launch, Travis, what are some of the things that you and your team look at to prepare for the next one or to learn for the next one?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, well, first off, we see which ads got approved and disapproved. That's the very first thing.
100%. Yeah.
That's the first thing. Because like the last launch we did, we're like, yo, we got everything got approved like within minutes. We're like, is this like a fluke? And again,
because you're passing those bills off to the reps, right? You're like sliding on the table.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Because like I said, we had some struggles with that just because the algorithm was falsely flagging stuff.
So on the V4R, Travis, do you remember mid promotion, we're like, there's this $40,000 bike on the line. There were 3 days where we just had no ads running because Meta just basically shit on our heads and there was nothing we could do. And I was desperately emailing Travis. I was like, fucking call whoever you have, like turn this shit back on. Like, Jesus Christ,
Well, it's funny. I remember waking up. It was like a Saturday morning. I woke up because I obviously was logging in because it was a massive giveaway. I'm like, let me see how this is doing. Like, it's almost like a kid on Christmas, like Christmas morning.
I feel the same way. I woke
up at 6. My girlfriend's still sleeping. I'm like, she's like, what are you doing? I'm like, just give me a second. I got to check something out, So I'm looking up there and I'm like, oh, dude, this first day was a banger. I'm like, let me just scale it up slowly. I'm not going to go anything crazy. I just scaled that one campaign up just slightly, no more than 20%. 2 minutes later, rejected. I'm like, oh no. I'm like, I literally pressed 2 buttons. Like, what happened? It was just like this little tweak, and it took a hit. And it sucked. But like me and Eric and Ken, we had a call around it. It was like, it was nice to see that even that we had that type of unfortunate situation happen during a massive giveaway, we still saw a lot of momentum. And I think a lot of that does come with, one, not just having just those ads in that campaign running. We still had our evergreen ones running. I think that's so important too when it comes to ads, is that to still have the ones that are still working, even if it's not your specific main like offer that you're running, or you're, in this case, the giveaway, because we saw those helping lifting up the account as well, while this other one went through the process of getting reapproved and all of that stuff. But to go back to your question, Ray, like, obviously we're looking at the ads, right? Like what are we seeing? Where are we seeing the spend going to? Why do we think Facebook's putting the money towards those? Are we seeing the conversions being attributed to those? But a lot of times we're also looking inside the Shopify store, because at the end of the day, like that's like the final touch point, right? Like that's going to be the most truest data in terms of how much revenues came in, how many people were adding to the cart. And really looking at even seeing like what products are selling too. Like, was there specific bikes that people tend to buy more?
Yeah, I was going to ask about that. Have you found any kind of correlations to like the product in the bike in some of these giveaways?
Yeah, so that's actually something we're diving into now, at least on our side. And Eric, I know we even had a conversation which was really cool. And I think, and I'm getting on a sidetrack here, but like, I think having a really good partnership too is it's massive, because like even reaching out to Eric and them like, hey, can you guys send us your last 90-day report of top selling products with, the metrics, your margins, just so we can kind of see like, where should we be pushing? And then what was interesting with like post-purchase surveys is we're able to leverage that data. And we're saying, and Eric, remember in the beginning, I was like, it's going to be hard, I think, for us to push memberships right off the bat. I think we should push with the merch first, get momentum, and then we start sprinkling in that membership. Well, importance of post-purchase surveys, we're able to see, I'm like, oh my God, all these people that were coming from the Facebook ads, I'm like, there was like 35% of them that were buying the memberships. We didn't say one thing about the memberships. So there was like a huge aha moment, and Eric can confirm this, but like the last couple of ads that in our sprints, like we were starting to now create something around the memberships, because we're like, that's a huge opportunity, right, for us as well. So we try to look at all that stuff. I mean, again, like what Dee were saying, reiterating, we try not to make too many adjustments in the account, because we felt like we were kind of on thin ice, just because any little, change that we would make. So like another thing too is we know like these certain types of creatives that work really well. So we're like, well, if one's getting a 3X, another one's getting a 3.8, I'm not going to turn off the 3X because it's getting a 3 and not hitting the 3.8. They're working together. They're both, we're seeing higher frequencies on each one of them. So we know that they're working together. This ad A may be the one that's bringing them in, and that ad B is the one that's actually getting them to convert, right? But yeah, we try to be aware of what's happening, but not make any emotional decisions when it comes down to like the optimizations during a campaign, just because, especially the ones like, well, I think it's going to keep on going, or well, I think it can pull through. It's like, no, you got to look at the data. We got to look at the data and say, hey, it's done. It's hit our metrics where we need to make a decision, and we make those decisions. But yeah.
Just
what about your side,
Eric?
You
said, Travis, as well, is like this idea that like it's all working together. Like I'm a big believer in that. Like I really believe that like you have to have the content and the ads and the emails, and like we have our Discord server, which is a huge touch point for us. Like we have thousands of people on there that we reach and activate, and it's very real time. It's super different than anything else we do. And I really think doing all of that is going to work. But I had a question for you guys too, because like you work with us, and like we obviously like specialize in video. So anytime you have a request for like, hey, can you shoot this photo or shoot this video? Like it is no issue at all, because that's like one of our core competencies. What is it like working with other brands that maybe like don't do video or can't do video? Is it difficult because like they have to make? It was like how would it work if like you turn to them and you're like, yo, like you need a video, and they don't know how to make a video? Is it just like
when you watch this replay, you're gonna see Ray and Dee go like this.
It was insane, because I was like, it works for us because we're a YouTube channel, but like I don't know, somebody selling joggers, how do they do it, right?
So I'll let Travis jump in a second. It depends on their affinity with, are they okay making content, right? That's where it starts. To the extent I know, because for example, several people on our team where we often have to like say, shoot this, say this, shoot this B-roll, here's a script, say these things, shoot these things. Like we have to go to that extent sometimes, because if they're not like you, they don't have the affinity, they haven't built up that comfortableness. Like we have to go to great lengths to get the content that we're scale. Travis was smiling because he knows that all too well with other brands. So go ahead, Travis.
Yeah. I mean, your arms are correct. Like, and it's so fun. Like our visual creators, anytime he's like, when we first started working with you and like you turned around and like provided the exact video, the script that he wrote, and I even wrote a script. It's like, hey, can you make sure the bike's behind you? And our VC Zhao, he's like, yo, this is awesome. Like it was because it really makes you, it really gets you excited because like you can come up, sometimes you have an idea, right? As a strategist and a visual creator, yeah, and as a media buyer, like you have ideas and you're like, is it possible though to get that asset that we need to turn that into like fruition, right? So it's super exciting when you have somebody that can do that. But for the brands that don't, I mean, it's just like what Ray said is you try to like, you kind of have to like write it out and kind of hold the hand through and say, here, this is all you have to do. And sometimes like we'll even try to do something super simple. I'm like we have another brand where it's jewelry and it's like, you don't even have to put your face in it. If you can just put it on a table and just walk around and videotape it and just start there. And once they start getting more comfortable with it, we've noticed that like they're more open to trying different things out too. But yeah, the creative side, that's super important because you can have the best product in the world. You can have the best content in the world. You know, if we don't have anything to showcase it to, you know, the public and the ads, it makes it super difficult. And another thing is variety. Like that's important too, I think.
Huge.
Yeah, creative variety is huge. It's massive impact. Because like, for example, I mean, thankfully you have Eric and there's a different bike every giveaway. Like, and so the creative can be very different. The messaging can be also be very different, but like, from a consumer standpoint, like we're attention getters. And so if all of your creative always looks the same, your ability to get their attention significantly declines. So like, I know, cause I see a lot of Travis's work is like that creative diversity. Like how can we make it look different? So every time they see like a Yammie Noob, like it feels different. It feels fresh. Cause like new is like the lifeblood of e-commerce. Always feel like there's something fresh on the table.
Yeah. And dude, here's the thing, right? Like, and this is why I love like YouTube people. Like, I love the creator or the even to go further back because we're kind of like dinosaurs now, like the YouTuber mentality, because the YouTuber mentality or the creator mentality, when you've done it for long enough and you've built up enough like battle scars, you know that you got to fight for views. Like it doesn't just come to you compared to like the internet entrepreneur when they come from that route instead, where they launch a website and they go like, oh my God, every pixel must be perfect. Because once I hit launch, the entire world is going to see it. And it's like, nah, man, that's not how it works. Like you got to fight for it. So that kind of mindset then, like you were saying, right? Like I just did a video for dad, didn't think much of it, started the channel. And then like that's kind of how it happened. That whole, like, we're just going to produce content and not be precious about the content. Make it entertaining, but it's not, oh my God, I have to look a certain way and it has to be presented exactly pitch perfect like this, or it's not going to work. That makes things very difficult first and foremost. And then after that, like what Travis was saying, then the hand holding becomes that much harder as well. Whereas when you have someone who's going, yeah, I get the game. It's about volume and also it's about speed. Let's go. Then you can start cranking out. It's a real pain point. I mean, we talk about it at the agency a lot in terms of just a content engine and how to be able to put that forward. I mean, even in the agency game, if you look at the overwhelming majority of agency podcasts or like expert podcasts, my gripe with it is like it's super curated and it's like highly manicured. They don't cuss and it's like over polite. No one talks over one another. I'm like, yo, I don't care about any of that stuff, man. Let's just put it out, have a good time on these calls, and then just see how it goes. Life becomes a lot easier, but then also you're just more liberal, I think, at the same time.
I mean, that's the game. You have to post up out there. I mean, there was a period in 2022, we were making 9 videos a week.
Whoa.
Do you think I'm being precious about 9 videos a week? No, I'm just like,
long
is it good enough? All right, ship it out. Huh?
Was that long form, Eric?
Yeah, all of them were a minimum 12 to 15 minutes. Minimum.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can I ask
How many about being efficient, right? Like we have,
Yeah.
I mean, now we're making 5 a week, but the way we do it is, you know, we'll do a podcast one week, the next week, because we realize that not many people watch the whole thing all the way through. You take a segment from the podcast, repurpose that as its own 20-minute video. Boom, you now have 2 going for you, right? I do two videos a week is just a voiceover video where like all I do is like my scriptwriter sends me the script, I adjust it a little bit, I read it, ship out the audio, and it just gets posted to YouTube basically. So like my time input on that is like 30 minutes maybe. You know, you have to be efficient, like Dee was saying, like you got to make a lot of stuff. And that's the only way you're going to find out what formats work for you and your audience too. Like we have a tried and true format that we do with our voiceover videos. I can, at this point, if I see the title and thumbnail, I'm like, all right, that's a 100K video. I already know it. Like, just put it out there. It's going to do great. And then, you just go from there. You just have to keep making a lot of stuff.
Can I ask you a question? Because I think a lot of founders can learn from you, especially in your efficiency that you've figured out through battle scars, trial and error all over the years. What are some of the suggestions and tips you would give founders who really struggle with the efficiency of making content? What are some ways to help them skip past making a lot of mistakes?
I think if you're a founder and you have the capital to invest even in like a super ragtag content team, you should do it. You should have an editor. You should have somebody helping you, because if you try to do it all yourself, you will burn out in a matter of weeks. It's a ton of work. If you're ideating the content, executing it, filming it, editing it, creating the thumbnail, creating the title, creating the concept of it, managing your content calendar, you're going to burn out so fast. It's super hard work. It's why you see like the solo YouTuber, they only make like 2 videos a week, 1 video a week. Like, it's a lot of work. So if you are a founder and you have capital and you're like, hey, like, we're making money, we're profitable, I want to build my team out, hire a video editor, hire somebody to help you, hire, that way you can focus on, building out the efficiency of it. Cause like what we do is like, all of our content is 45 to 60 days planned in advance at all times. We use a system called Airtable, and it's all set up, ready to go. Like, everybody's, organized on there, who's editing what, who's making what. That's related to our production calendar as well. That's the only way to do it. Like, if you do it kind of fly by night, you'll never be efficient with it, and you'll just, pull your hairs out doing it. So that would be my recommendation, is hire an editor, someone who's going to help you create it, build out a system for it, and then just execute on the system, and just do it that way. Don't deviate from it. Like, if you're going to build out the content, make it that way. And then the next month, look at what worked well, make more of that. And then that's it. It's not hard. It just takes a lot of work.
Ray, it's just like what we said about the Black Friday, when we're doing the Black Friday workshops. It's like,
I know.
When it comes to Black Friday, like, you've already like made the plan, just follow the plan. Don't get smart with it. Don't start doing crazy shit on Black Friday week. Like, just follow the plan, bro. You start doing like emotional stuff during that week, that's when shit falls apart.
You're screwed if you do that. Eric said something a few moments ago that I think it's important we circle back to, because it was said over passing, but it's so critical. You have a Discord group with how many people, Eric?
Probably like 4,000 at this point.
First of all, holy crap, that's a community you can tap up now. Why did you start a community?
All paying members, I might add. That's all paying people. So that's
wow.
Cool.
Okay, so yeah. Since you've been doing that for a period of time, how much do you attribute a lot of your guys' recent like success and ramp up to that community?
I attribute a lot to it. I kind of view that community as the lifeblood of what we do. And I think everybody, it can be tough depending on whatever niche you're in, but like, I think everyone should have something like that they tap into, because the Discord is like, if you've never used the software, for anyone out there listening, it's like a super chaotic version of Slack, where all these random people are in there and just like dropping memes and being crazy and like doing voice chat. It's a ton of fun, but it's like super high adrenaline, like Zoomer shit. Like, it's pretty crazy. But I think, whatever niche you're in, there must be some sort of community around the product or whatever you're doing. Like, I mean, even like, I think like a super popular e-commerce category is like health and wellness and beauty and all that shit, right? Like, I'm sure that there's probably like a Discord around like skincare or something similar to that you can tap into, that maybe you launch your own Discord around that, where you're just like trying to help people maybe have better skin, and then maybe you sell a product that helps people get better skin. But it has to start with like a genuine love for the community and trying to do fun stuff for them. People suss out really fast if you're doing something just to make money and stuff like that. Like, if you make a Discord that's just about trying to sell people shit, no one's going to get interested. But if you make a Discord that's genuinely trying to help people and you're trying to interact with more people, that's going to be a great way to do it. It also helps if you're a founder that's trying to raise your own profile to be like a thought leader or whatever in the space. It helps a lot. So, yeah.
Yeah, I liberally join a lot of, so I just like join every Discord and every Telegram group that I find just to poke my head in there. Cause I'm very I'm very fascinated by what makes community tick and what like just makes it crash. And to your point, like, people suss it out really quickly. And I love the horror ones where you clearly know that the community owners are trying to sell something, and then everyone else tries to sell something, and then the community owners are like, guys, no pitching, no, and then it's just like this torrent of people just being like, I'm part of one right now. It's like, you want an Instagram account banned? I got you. You want like all the, and I'm like, I just entered some kind of black hat like Discord like rabbit hole. It's hilarious. It's hilarious. Yeah. Sorry.
No, I was
Ray, what were you gonna say?
Challenging too. Oh, just one more thing. It can be challenging too. Like even on my own Discord, like I'll pop in there and like I can't keep up with everything that's happening on there because people are talking all the time. But I'll pop in and sometimes like there's a channel called like Gear Talk and Trade, and like obviously I would like if YammieNoob.co links kept being populated in there and people sell shit on there and buy shit. But like I have to be okay with popping in there and people are like, hey, what do you guys think about this helmet? It's like a Revzilla link, which is a competitor of ours, and they're shopping on Revzilla. Like I have to be okay with that because that's the primary function of that space, is not for me to be like, hey guys, buy this shit from my site, buy this shit from my site.
Yeah.
If I'm doing that, it has to be like Travis said, where it's like, there's a cool offer or something attached to it. If we're launching a new bike, I'm definitely going to notify everybody, be like, yo, go buy some shit. We got this new bike, but I'm not going to do it out of nowhere because it doesn't make sense. So you have to read the room, so to speak.
Yeah, for sure.
About that, like how you handle reading the room, because I'm sure you can use that group for like your own innovation of the company, right? Like you can use them because now you have a community, you can ask questions. Like how do you try to use that community to make yourself better, but also to listen to them?
Dude, for me, they're one of the best sounding boards for video content ideas because they're like the most activated, enthusiastic fans. And I'll just pop in there and be like, I'll drop a link to like some crappy Chinese bike on Amazon. I'm like, should I buy this and blow it up? And they're like, fuck yeah, get some tannerite and blow it up. Or like, buy this other one. Because then they start iterating off of each other. And then you end up with this really zany idea. And you're like, actually, yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun. And then that's one of the best uses for it. If I was going to ask them like what bike to give away or like what ad to run, maybe not the best, right? Like they oftentimes are very fickle and they might recommend crazy ideas that maybe won't work on the aggregate, but it can be a lot of fun to use them as a sounding board for sure.
And I mean, thinking about it from like a Discord member in your server, I would like, it'd be so cool for me to be part of a Discord server where I get to like talk in person to my favorite YouTuber.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a big thing too. I don't think about it much because I look in the mirror.
Yeah, because you're
just a dude. But yeah, like for them, they're like, wow, like he replied to me, and like I'll often what I do, I call them drive-bys. I'll just pop in and just like reply to some random dude or just like talk shit to some random guy and just like bounce for like 2 days. Like, what did he mean? What did he say?
Yeah, totally. It must be such an awesome experience. And to that, I mean, to your point, then to have like that favorite YouTuber keep asking you about like, hey, what should I do next? And tell me about my product and all that kind of, you're really misreading the room for sure. Hey, so listen, guys, we're about to wrap up. There's something that I would love to find out more about. So $5,000 at the start seemed really scary. And now y'all are in six figures. What was that journey like? Trav, I'd love to hear from you, and of course, Eric, from you as well, in terms of making each jump feel like the natural progression without it being like a hair loss experience.
Yeah. So if I can start, to be honest, it's like at first it was like scary, and then like you just learn to trust the data. Like Travis showed me the data of where the money was going, what it yielded. And then I started to just like blindly trust in Travis, which hasn't done me bad so far. And he'll just email and be like, yo, ads are working. Can we scale? And I'm like, sure, why not? Like, it's probably going to be fine. So that's where I'm at right now with it. He'll email me and be like, hey, the campaigns are doing great. Can I pump more money into it? I'm like, sure, swipe the credit card. Like, I'm sure it'll be fine. And if it's not, whatever, like I'll figure it out later. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. But yeah, like I think until it catastrophically goes wrong, but even so, like he's explained to me that you can just dial it back if it's not working. Like if you scale and you start seeing like 1 to 2x ROAS or whatever, just don't spend that much money and just dial it back. You're not committing to, it's not like you guys are drafting 100K out of my account and be like, I hope it works. Like it's very piecemeal. So that makes me feel better about it. So yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And I think what's funny when we first started, Eric, if you remember, we were capped out at $50 a day.
Yes, I remember that. Yeah.
It was a
sucks.
brand new account because, like, obviously Eric and Yammie were brand new with the advertising. I think you guys ran some ads in the past, but it was like
That was nothing. Yeah.
like 9 months. Yeah, so we're starting at $50 a day, and we're like, it's fun. We're like, okay, here's 50. Like, okay, like, oh, got a purchase come in. That's nice. It's like really slow.
It's so sad.
Yeah, or like, and like we're trying to communicate with our meta rep. Like, can we do anything here? Like, I can send some crumble cookies. Like, I don't know, like, what do we need to do to try to get this lifted? And sure enough, it was just having the repeating of the invoices and being paid on Meta, right? The ads, but they want to make sure you're a real business. So yeah, we started at $50, and then went up to like $100 a day, and then went to like $150. Like, okay. And I think the important part too is like making sure, like, what is our ROAS targets and what is our MER targets, and do we have the updated margins? Is all that up to date? Because that plays a massive role. Like, if somebody came to me and said we have 90% margins, we're like, this is awesome. All right.
Yeah.
That's cool. He's still emoji.
That was weird. Yeah.
Oh,
What the?
I didn't know you could do that.
I didn't know. I got powers. I'm that.
Wait, why
got
is it
powers.
working?
But
It's only you, Travis, I think.
oh, maybe. I promise
I
I have
think
no
you're the
special-
middle
Downvote.
Yeah, totally.
Travis, it's just you. That's very strange.
Well, I'll hold it to myself then.
Yeah.
Hopefully it stays that way. No, but yeah. So like, just making sure we had the targets and make sure that's always up to date. And I always try to make sure, like Eric knows too, like even in our monthly calls, or we go through the reports, like this is where our MER is. Here's our targets. We're scaling ad spend to still stay at that target percentage that we want to be at. MER technically, or does drop a little bit from there, but it's always making sure that we're just constantly aware of like what that number is. Because once you start losing track of that, you kind of don't know where you're at in terms of like, can we scale back or do we need to scale back? Can we scale up? And I think on the media buying side too, I think it's super important to, like what Eric said, like we can pull back. Like that's totally okay. Like, and a lot of times when we pull back, it allows it to kind of restabilize. We got another great giveaway where we want to try a new test out. We can put a little more budget to that. Yeah. And I think it's just knowing the numbers. I think that's the biggest thing, is really having those and making sure that both sides know the numbers too. I think that's important.
By both sides, you mean like on the client side, on the brand side with Yammie Noob and Eric, and then yourself as well, like knowing in the driver's seat and your co-pilot's like, okay, we know what's going on here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's super important. Because it's funny. I mean, like Eric was saying, like spending $5,000 a day would be kind of scary. But I now look at, and hats off to Eric and his team. Like they always have a content calendar, massively helpful. Like
I believe that
you make the paid social side and the email retention side, you make that so much easier for us to execute on that stuff rather than like trying to chase like, do you have anything upcoming? But what I was getting at is, spending $5,000 a month. Now Eric's putting in there like Facebook spend. He's putting, numbers that are much larger than that. And I'm like, this is cool to see that we're at 50 and almost spooked by 5K. Now he's like, yes, we're going to start off right around there, So it's really,
I've seen it works, right? Like I think we've got this formula, we've got this repeatable thing, and kind of what you were saying, D, earlier, it's like, if you have a system, you have a plan, just stick to it, don't rock the boat. Just if you've decided to do something, then just do it. And then you can determine why it didn't work or whatever. But yeah, it's been fun. Like, yeah, I'm glad you noticed that, Travis, because I put in, I think for the MTO3 launch, I wanted to do like 2K a day. And I was like, all right, fuck it. Let's see what happens. That's the Facebook only one. So I was like, yeah, let's go, But I think like you have to have fun with it, because otherwise, like, why are you doing it? Like if I didn't get jazzed up about this, and like you said, like it's like Christmas morning when a bike launch happens, like it's very addictive, and like that's why I do it. It's a lot of fun. Like if I'm not having fun, I wouldn't be doing this.
Facts. It's a hard job. Like you don't have the fun parts in there. Like it could be a miserable life for sure. So let's do parting words, right? Like the way your setup is fairly unique, I gotta say, but I think there are a lot of, I think Ray recognizes this too. There are a lot of lessons here that a brand founder or a yet to be brand founder could possibly consider. Most brand founders, like exactly what you said, Eric, before, they start the brand and then they think community as an afterthought, or think content as the afterthought, which is a whole other ballgame. Clearly you went the other way. So if there's a cautionary tale, or if there's any kind of parting words of wisdom for a brand founder that's looking to get the notoriety or that type of community vibe that you've got, what would that be? And then Travis, I'd like to throw it over to you afterwards on like the strategy and the paid acquisition side.
Yeah, so I guess my parting words for that would be, if you are lucky enough to have a big community or a following of any type, and you are able to, let's say, ethically monetize it, you can sell people stuff that you believe in, that you find is good, and you can make your own products, all that stuff. Dude, the most important thing I would tell people is don't fuck with that reputation. It is the most important thing. I've had several blunders. I don't want to talk about them here on the podcast, but I've had several blunders where I very nearly just like nuked my reputation online.
Wow.
And it's super important to like think through what you're going to say. Like, it's almost a meme at this point now where like YouTubers pull out the fucking apology video, right? And there's a reason for that, is because when you're constantly online, like I am, like I'm in a video basically every day, you're gonna say something that might upset people. So what I would recommend is like build in that community, follow that community, but once you have it, dude, respect it. Like, have the wherewithal to respect your people, respect yourself, think about your reputation before you do shit, because it will haunt you. If you do something stupid, they will not ever let you forget it, because people are people, right? It's like, I think in Superbad, where I don't remember, I think one of them's making fun of him for like peeing in his pants, and he's like, that was 10 years ago, and he's like, people don't forget, you know? People don't forget, man. Like, they really don't. And they will constantly remind you, and you have to have a thick skin if you did fuck up in the past, that they're going to bring it up. But that would be my thing. You know, if you're going to build a community, think about your reputation. That's it.
Love that. Travis, your side, and like paid acquisition for something like this, how to make it work?
I mean, I think the biggest thing is like, you know, gone are the days of where you can just like throw something up like on the paid side and like got purchases that worked out great. Like those days are like long gone. You know, I'm talking 2015, 16, 17. I think the biggest thing that I think anybody should, when they get into the paid social side or just paid acquisition in general, is like having a plan. I mean, it doesn't have to be revolutionary either. It doesn't need to be this ginormous, intricate plan. Like, just having a plan and following those steps, I think, is massively important. And then also knowing your numbers. If you don't have numbers, you have really no targets you're trying to hit, then it's kind of like you don't know where you should be going or what time you should be pivoting to. So knowing the numbers and having a plan and sticking with it is probably the biggest thing.
Nice. Yo, I got a bunch of takeaways from this. I'm going to keep it really short, but Ray, you got any, like, this has been an enriching conversation.
I mean, honestly, just the fact to hear that how transparent Eric was on the journey, and I think being okay with the patience to build like this, he's not an overnight success. And I know I'm speaking about you, Eric, so it probably feels really weird, but just to see like that this was years in the making, that you love what you do, so you still come back every day. I hope a lot of founders keep that in mind, because they want like Hail Mary success next month. But if it's something you love, you will be successful if you keep on it over years. So if you have a longer time horizon. And so I think that's just been the most solemn thing I've gotten from this podcast, is seeing how much you just stuck with it. And now like you're reaping benefits and like you're not stopping anytime soon.
Yeah. And no shortcuts, bro. And I think it's because you didn't try to like short circuit the thing and like monetize too early or anything like that. Like the key things I'm taking away is like content. Like, what the hell are you doing? Like, more content, right? That's the voice going in my head, be like, yo, you got to connect with Ray more and just make more content. But then also too, I think it's the content mindset, which is a whole other different thing altogether. And just keeping really consistent, but then the reputation piece, content reputation, those are the main two things that I'm taking away from this. And then you get to just cream on top. Paid acquisition becomes the fuel on top of the fire, as opposed to hoping for paid acquisition to be the spark in the fire and the fuel. I think that's a Hail Mary right there, if there ever was one.
On the reputation side, I mean, I look to a guy like Doug DeMuro, if you guys know who that is.
It sounds familiar.
It does sound.
Yeah. So he was a guy that made a lot of car content on YouTube, like super of the people. Like, I think he just used an iPhone. He'd just be like, he was like this really goofy, quirky guy. And he launched a website called Cars and Bids. It's basically a similar format to what we're doing. We're like huge audience decide to launch something outside of YouTube to see how it worked, right? And it was a car auction site, pretty robust website. Looks really great. Clearly spent a lot of time on it. And I think earlier this year or last year, I can't remember. I think they got a partial buyout or a big investment of like $40 million into this company. So for those of you out there that think like, doing the content stuff isn't worth it, it's worth it. Like he built this impeccable reputation. He didn't put a foot wrong the entire time he was on YouTube, kept it squeaky clean, and nobody has a single bad thing to say about the guy. And I think that matters a lot. And it also matters that people believe that in him and are willing to go to his website and try something because he has that reputation, So I would say for all the founders out there who are watching, like, if you're going to go into the content side of things, the reputation is important because it will allow people to try the thing you're asking them to try. Because if you really think about it, like you are talking directly to these people who really have a parasocial relationship with you, for good or for bad, right? They hang out with you all the time on their TVs or their phones. And then you're asking them to go do something, right? Like, oh, go to this website and go do a thing. You better make damn sure that website's really good and really polished and is going to be a good experience because they believe in you and they trust you and they don't want anything bad to happen for that. So that's why I was saying the reputation is important. And Doug Demir is like for us YouTubers, like a gold star of like, man, that guy really did it, like he really built an amazing thing. And if Yammie Noob is even half as successful as that, I'd be thrilled. So yeah.
That is super awesome. Boys, this has been really fun. Like, I appreciate you guys' time so much. This has been really fun. I'd really love to do one again. Maybe like touch bases with a post Black Friday or like coming into New Year. That'd be super fun. And hopefully we can do it like on bikes. We can fly ourselves out over to where Eric is.
I mean, we can go to yammynoob.co and we can grab some of the mics as well and communicate through the helmet. So, I mean,
that's true. But I was going to say, Travis, he's like a bigger dude. D, you can jump on the back of his Gixxer and,
totally
add fuel to the fire. The Gixxer guys are gay, and that's life. It's all good.
Nuts to butts. I practiced when I was 16. I think I'll be okay. Get off of me, man.
No,
what are you
Travis, I'm going to have you ride in the front. I'm going to caress you from behind.
I like that. Yeah.
God, B-roll for days.
Bring your SV650 or your brand new Street Fighter V4S, whatever you want.
Now we're talking.
That'd be badass.
Amazing. Eric, where can people find you? I'll make sure we put it into the show notes as well. Please let us know.
Yeah, so I'm Yammie Noob on everything. So just type in YAMMIENOOB. Our website is yammynoob.co. That's CO, not .com. We have a squatter sitting on yammynoob.com, which fucking sucks. And I can't get that website. So if anyone can help me get that website, maybe one of D's black hat Instagram blocker hackers can get that for me. That would be awesome. I really would love that website. But yeah, you can find me there.
Totally.
We have a few connections.
Travis, where can people find you?
Travis Eubanks _1 on Instagram. It's the best place to find me. I don't have a big YouTube channel.
I'm gonna follow you, Travis. I don't follow you. I'm gonna follow you right now.
Do it. I post some sometimes crazy stuff, I guess. I don't know. I'm not going 75 miles around a turn, but I may throw some funny stuff up there.
You might see a story of Travis going into a mailbox. We'll never know. That's why you got to keep finding out.
I should post my one picture because it's so funny. Well, it's not funny, but now I can look back and laugh at it. After I crashed a motorcycle, I posted it because I want everyone to know, like, Travis fucked up, right? And I put the front end of my motorcycle, like the side view mirror, just like dangling there like a limp arm, and I'm like, this is worse than a dry hand job. And I just put it on there. That's the internet. This was a long time ago. It was like 2009, I think.
Funny. Yeah.
My favorite videos is your girlfriend trying to scare you all the time.
Oh my God, yeah. She manages to fucking spook me all the time. I'm like very jumpy.
Hilarious.
Shit. Yeah, it's hilarious.
YouTube channel right there. That's a vlog right there. All right, everyone. We are wrapping this thing up. We appreciate your attention. See you next time. Maybe a 5-way. Who the hell knows? Managed to get this 4-way pretty okay. Some of that back action, you know what I'm saying? All right. Appreciate y'all.